Hi, I've been meaning to do this video for a while, as this has been one of the biggest struggles of my life is what I'm about to share, and one of the biggest overcomings of my life, which is my journey with perfectionism and my healing of that, and how that has manifested in so many areas of my life, starting with my skin and the 18 years I was dealing and being with so many challenges, with acne, with scars, with picking on myself, with shame, with guilt, to my relationship to work and how I used to work and overextend myself and my energy, to my relationship to myself and the high standards I was holding on myself, and how I kept feeling like I was failing at everything because I had such high expectations of what I thought it meant to do well in life and to be a good person. This extends to this core belief that I was holding, which is I must be perfect in order to be loved, which is something I recognized in my mid-20s during a meditation. I was holding that belief since a little girl, since the age of 6, as far back as I could remember. And that belief was creating this identity about who I thought I was, that I must be perfect in order to be loved. And of course, that sense of pressure was creating so much stress and so much unease and anxiety. And it was coming out on my skin, on my face. I was breaking out as soon as I hit puberty at age 11 until about age 28, 29. I was struggling with my skin, and it became much better since I realized that core belief, mid-20s. I started to actively work on clearing and releasing that belief from my system by recognizing how untrue it is. But of course, there's deeper workings that had to happen than just recognizing it. A lot of times I have recognitions and insights, but the deeper work happens when we really integrate that recognition in the body. And that was a journey, a journey of continuous self-acceptance, accepting myself as I am without needing myself to change, including my skin, accepting who I am at the time that I am, and love, genuine love. And how that was manifesting for me was changing the inner dialogue I was having with myself, becoming a lot more gentle with myself, letting myself know when I made a mistake or did something that then I was feeling guilty about, like picking on my face, and then feeling shame, like genuinely bringing compassion and forgiving myself. And it has been a journey of dialing down the perfectionism to the degree where I could really hear my inner love and wisdom, where that inner love and wisdom was becoming greater than my criticism and judgment and lack of acceptance. And that journey for me took many, many years, because for about 18 years, I was struggling so much with my skin that this is where a lot of the focus was being, that I was not beautiful, I was not accepting myself. And I was putting BB creams and foundation to cover up my skin, to like myself better, so that hopefully others like me better. And this focus on so much of my self-image, when I started to dial down that expectation of looking perfect and looking, you know, like seamless and polished and all the things that I was expecting of myself. When I started dialing that down, I started to really like be able to exhale the amount of pressure I was putting upon myself to look a certain way so that I am loved, so that I'm accepted. But truly, I wanted to be loved and accepted for myself. And I know you've probably heard this a lot. And, you know, loving ourselves, accepting ourselves. And genuinely though, like when these things no longer are concepts in the mind and start becoming embodied experiences of dropping from the head, from the ego mind, from the victim mind, from the mind that wants to constantly fix, improve, change, from the space of lack, to dropping into the heart, into the belly, into the body, it is a slow process of digestion. Just like when we digest food, depending on how heavy the food is, like this was a heavy thing for me to digest because I was with it for so many years. It became part of my identity. It took many years for me to digest it and to really be with it to the point where I was able to change the inner dialogue to love, to self-acceptance. And I noticed that as I noticed, I'm like, oh, I'm a lot more forgiving and accepting of myself. I'm not so hard on myself. And that for me was the key for, I stopped wearing makeup. I started to I stopped putting more on myself and started shedding, started clearing, including I stopped dyeing my hair. I stopped, putting a bunch of makeup. I stopped doing all the things that were causing more self-harm, and I started to embrace myself as I am. And also having the patience, noticing that certain things would come back with perfectionism. Like, for example, my voice, that has been a big journey. But that too, with that gentleness, with that inner self-talk of more sweetness, forgiveness, it has supported me to actually sing and express my voice, where 5 years ago, that wasn't even a thing for me. It was like, what? Like, I can even do that? I didn't even know that's a thing I even want to do, because that was completely out of my sight. So this journey of perfectionism, and that for me right now, that's where my biggest work is. It's actually singing, and I'm seeing it as, perfectionism for me, this belief I must be perfect in order to be loved. It's almost like this castle that I build, and little by little this castle has been falling away. And now it's okay, where am I still holding that belief? And sometimes it shows up very subtly, and sometimes it shows up very obviously. And I've dialed down this belief to such a degree that I can really see it for what it is and not buy into it, not believe it. And so when I see it show up, I can see it most of the time in like real time, and I can work with it in the moment by relaxing into the body, taking a few breaths, reminding myself that all is well, that we are children of creation, of source, of God, of the universe, whatever name we want to use it. We're imperfect in this physical form, and that is okay. And that is part of being human. That's actually what makes us so beautiful. And nature reflects that to us all the time. Things are constantly dying and being reborn. I am constantly dying and being reborn. And can I truly be with that? Can I truly be with this change that is happening naturally without me interfering and needing me to be different than who I am? So that's a little bit about my story. I can go into this probably for days. I'm curious if anything stuck out for you, if anything was a good reminder for you, if you have had a similar journey with perfectionism. Comment below, let me know. I am committing to show up here more often and share my journey with what's been helpful with healing, what's been helpful to coming back to myself, to love, forgiveness, and coming back to the basics, as that's what does the magic, coming back to the foundation. Thank you for listening. Subscribe if you haven't. Sending you so much love.